right now. Pittsburgh's best sports show is about to begin. Call us or tweet us. We've got things to talk about on the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call.
All right, thanks a lot, Jess, and thank you for tuning into the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call. I'm Rich Walsh. I'll be joined by Chris Mueller in a matter of moments. There he is right there in that purple jacket over to 93.7 The Fan Camp. Hey, Chris, I want to start with, usually today we start with Steelers quarterback situation. I want to start with the Terry Francona news that just broke here about 20 minutes ago. He's going to manage the Reds. Look, I didn't think the Pirates would have an opportunity because I didn't think Francona even wanted to manage anymore. But the fact is he was out there, and you would think if they would have made some kind of move with Derek Shelton that Francona would have been the Pirates manager, an exact kind of manager that the Pirates need for this team.
The million-dollar question is, did the Pirates even reach out to inquire with Terry Francona about whether or not he was interested in managing the ball club? I don't know the answer to that, Richie. I don't think anybody really does right now other than the people inside the Pirates building and Terry himself. If they did not reach out to Francona about coming here to manage and they didn't do any diligence, they didn't even attempt to, then shame on them. If they really just rubber-stamped Derek Shelton because they thought that that was the right move, that's frankly pathetic. The Reds are certainly not a big market team. I didn't think Francona wanted to manage again. His health wasn't great at the end of his tenure in Cleveland. Clearly, he must feel differently now about things because that is not a turnkey operation. They've got some nice pieces down there, Hunter Green, Ellie De La Cruz, and maybe some other guys as well. But if the Pirates did not inquire, if the Pirates did not even try to make overtures to Terry Francona, then shame on them. Then it's more of the same. It's, no, this is good enough. You guys, you Pirates fans out there, you can all deal with it. This is what we're doing. Believe in us. Believe in our plan. Yeah, sure, it doesn't really seem like we're trying that hard, but trust us, it's going to work.
You know, I'm going to make an educated guess here because I was there at the Charrington press conference yesterday and some of the things that he said, and I'm just going by what he said because after the season, he recommended to keep Derek Shelton. So if you're going to recommend the manager you already have, why would you even reach out to someone else?
I mean, there's always the chance.
We don't know that. I don't know anything for sure. Yeah, but I'm just guessing.
There's always the chance that immediately after the season ended, they actually did make a quick overture to Francona and engage his interest, and maybe he just said, no, I don't really want to manage their hometown team, pressure, all that stuff. And then that might have led to the vote of confidence from Ben Cherington for Derek Shelton. But again, I want to stress, if they didn't even so much as try to get Terry Francona to manage this team, then shame on them because that's inexcusable.
I know, because to me, after I read that, I couldn't believe it. I would think he would be the perfect fit. You need a guy that can really come in and take hold of this locker room, and it seems like it got away from Shelton a little bit, and that's one of the things I think Charrington talked about yesterday, just relating to the players. You want a winner to come in there. They need some type of winner. I understand Andrew McCutchen is, and he'll potentially he's going to come back, but he's not that vocal guy. He's not that A.J. Burnett. He's not that Russell Wilson. They need pieces like that for this team.
Francona's just a better manager, period, than Shelton. And it seemed like the players had sort of given up on Shelton by the end of the year, that they thought he was a lame duck. Well, he's not. It just continues an early, first couple days of their offseason, Richie, that I think fail in every way. They have not shown any. Not that I'm expecting them to have done the wholesale evaluation of their operation, but there seems to have been no actual degree of introspection here about whether or not this ship is pointed in the right direction. It's not, by the way. They are the only ones that think it is. They're not really fooling anybody, and I think it's going to create more of a malaise among fans of this team. A malaise, by the way, is already what has settled over this franchise, and it's only going to get worse.
I don't think we'll ever find out the truth about this one, maybe a couple years down the road, but I hope money didn't play in the factor of keeping Shelton.
I mean, I think Terry Francona is probably a guy, if I had to guess, that's asking for $4 to $5 million to manage a ball club, especially given what his health was at the end of the tenure in Cleveland. I think it would take a pretty big check to get him to come out of what I thought was retirement and actually go out and manage again. So I'm certainly not going to discount the fact that they might not have wanted to pay a manager $4 or $5 million and then have to eat maybe, $1.5 million on top of that to get rid of Shelton. I'm not going to discount that at all.
Yeah, I was talking more about not eating the $1 million or $2 million with Shelton. first, even before exploring Francona.
I mean, these are such minimal costs, Richie. Think about what we're talking about. It's $1 billion business. What would the franchise sell for right now if it got sold? Multiple billions of dollars, probably. I would imagine over 2, if I had to guess.
You
probably
think that
closer
high?
to 3.
Wow.
Didn't the Orioles sell for 3? Am I crazy? Didn't the Orioles just sell for like $3 billion? I might be completely off in my numbers, but that number popped back into my head while I was thinking about all this. It's just there are amounts of money involved here that should be pocket change, and I hope for their sake that it wasn't a hang-up like you're at least hypothesizing it might have been. I hope not, because then you're not really even you're not competing on even remotely a same kind of platform as the rest of the teams in baseball.
Hey, but they saved, what, $450,000 total dollars by getting rid of Rowdy Tellez and not playing IKF in the last game. All right, so we're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to talk a little bit about the Steelers situation heading into this big primetime matchup against the Cowboys. Back in a couple minutes. All right, welcome back to the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call. This is our GMC tweet of the night. This is from Tony Dungy. He said he was at Steelers offices today to interview Mike Tomlin for the Sunday night game on NBC. I was there. I saw him. Cowboys-Steelers game this week. Being there brought back some great memories of me and my career with the Steelers and of Mike's early days with the Bucs. I knew he was going to be a special coach, and seeing what he's done in Pittsburgh has been awesome. We should have a great game Sunday night. I think the Steelers are going to win this game, but we'll get to that in a second. I want to ask you, out of those two guys right there, obviously Tony Dungy was the mentor. Who has the better coaching resume?
No, they're pretty close to even Stevens, I would say. I give Tomlin the slight nod just because he's managed to stay afloat without having. I know everyone hates this. You're going to get mad at me.
You're going to bring it up. You're going to bring it up, aren't you?
Well, I don't think it's a good argument when people try to excuse the fact that he hasn't won a playoff game in so long. But the fact that he has managed to win more games than he's lost, or at the bare minimum go 8-8, even in years where he hasn't had Ben Roethlisberger, or even in a year where they started 0-4, I think it's impressive. I mean, Dungy obviously won the Super Bowl at the Colts. And then, he got replaced by John Gruden in Tampa after he built that whole thing up, and then Gruden gets the Super Bowl. So I think they're both very similar coaches. I guess I would give the slight nod, though, for longevity and Super Bowl appearances and everything else to Tomlin.
Yeah, I think you're right. All right, let's hit the phone lines. We got Josiah in San Antonio. How you doing, Josiah?
Hey, Rich. Hey, Chris.
Hey.
I got 2 quick points. First is football. Second is hockey. With the Steelers offense, how come they can never start the game off tight, get on top of the opponent, and put pressure on them? Why does it seem like they can never get this offense going? It's like we're always falling behind or trying to play catch-up. And let me ask you this real quick about hockey. Jeremy Swayman in this contract, Cam Neely called him out the other day. The Bruins totally botched that. They let Linus Ullmark go to Ottawa. They gave Swayman all of the leverage, and now they're sitting up here saying that he's probably not going to be ready by December 1st. I mean, how do you see this situation playing out? This is terrible.
All right, let me address the football question first. I think Tomlin likes to play that way offensively. I mean, we've seen it for how many years here, and nothing has really changed other than maybe some better personnel this year.
I'll answer the hockey question, then go backwards to football. How is it going to shake out for the Bruins? Who cares?
That's a good
man,
one.
Something bad happened to a Boston sports team. Oh, no. Oh, bless their hearts. I'm so sad for them. As far as football, here's some stats for you. Only 2 teams in the NFL have run the ball more often on first down than the Steelers. The problem with that is the Steelers have the second worst success rate on first down runs, and a successful run is defined as 4 yards or more, so you get into 2nd and 6 or better. They have the second worst success rate on first down of any team in the league other than the Cowboys when they run the ball. So this is like a Mike Tomlin thing. You say he likes to play like that. I do think that factors into it, Richie. I think that there's still a lack of trust with this quarterback to go over the top. If it would have been Ben Roethlisberger, I think Mike let Ben do what he wanted, which was throw the ball a lot more early and often in series. And I think they need to open it up, and I think they need to become less predictable. When everyone knows you're going to run and they're loading the box on early downs, you're just playing into their hands. You're getting run blitzed, and you're not going to have any chance. This is on Mike, I think, to free up Arthur Smith to then empower Justin Fields to actually add some variety into this offense on early downs.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more, and maybe that'll help Najee Harris in the long run, because right now he's not getting the job done early in games. All right, let's go out to Kirk and Manor. How you doing, Kirk?
Hey, pretty good. How are you guys?
Good.
Tonight? Hey, real quick question. I'm just asking, what do you think? I mean, with Coach Tomlin getting accolades and stuff for going 10-7 last year, and he should have been 12-5. Why doesn't he get any discredit for not winning games that he should?
He gets plenty of discredit, Kirk. People rip the heck out of him all the time. Half this city would like to see him run out of town. What are you talking about? The guy gets tons of discredit.
Yeah, I mean, look, he gets a ton of credit, too, nationally, locally. I don't know how people feel about him. I mean, I personally think he's a good fit for the Steelers. Yeah, I know the biggest criticism about him is not winning a playoff game in a long time, and that's justified, right? It's justifiable. I mean, think about it. I mean, that's what you're in this job for, is to win playoff games and to win a Super Bowl. And I don't. You just brought up the stat a little bit ago. I hate hearing about that, because I would much rather have be the Houston Texans the last 5-6 years than what the Steelers have done.
Fields is the most talented quarterback he has had since Roethlisberger retired, and we shall see if Mike Tomlin slackens the reins and actually lets a thoroughbred-level athlete play the position that way, or if he just can't take his hands off a 10-2 on the steering wheel. I think there is way too much conservatism in his game planning, in the way he wants to play games, in just what he feels comfortable doing. It leaves way too much room for error, or not enough room for error, I should say. And sometimes close games are that way when they shouldn't be. Sometimes losses should be wins. I think these all are things that absolutely fall under Mike Tomlin's purview, and I hardly think he's infallible, especially the last several years.
You know, I mean, let's commend Tomlin for not having a losing record, but not having a losing record hurts him in other ways, too, like last year. If they would have finished toward the bottom, they would have had a better draft pick. The problem with the Steelers being average every year is they're going to be drafting around 20, and you're going to get an average first-round draft pick.
Well, philosophically, I think that's the thing with the Rooney family as well. They don't really like finishing low, but I know Mike takes enormous pride in it, and I just wonder if he's blind to the fact that that inhibits you, especially when it comes to a quarterback. Now, he might feel like he's got the guy in Fields, and he might have stumbled into that one, but I just wonder if it had blinded him to the reality that if you really want to get a quarterback, which is by far the most important thing in this league, you have to be picking in the top 10 most years. I mean, they made a Minkah Fitzpatrick trade several years ago, and I'm not going to say that without Minkah, they fall all the way to the bottom of the standings, but he probably was worth 2 or 3 wins that year. If they're 5-11, they have access to Justin Herbert. Justin Herbert's career hasn't taken off like maybe it should have yet, but he is still pretty young and super talented. Like, you're telling me that the Steelers maybe wouldn't have been better off all this time with Justin Herbert, maybe learning for a year under Ben Roethlisberger and then going in there as the man? That is absolutely like a blind spot organizationally, and I think definitely one that Tomlin embodies as well.
Let's go out to Bob and Katanning. How you doing, Bob?
Good. How are you?
Good. You're on the air. You got a question?
Yes, man. Yes. I want to know.
What is it?
I want to know why. Well, why they didn't blitz Flacco that last game when he had them 3rd and 7 and 3rd and 10. He got 12 yards.
Bob, because Mike Tomlin lives in his fears with that stuff. His explanation was if you blitz him, he can pick you apart. I think they got nervous. They didn't want to heat up Joe Flacco. I think they were slow to adjust their defensive game plan. I don't know what they thought they were accomplishing by playing the style of defense that they did, but I'll tell you this much. Defensive-minded coach like Mike Tomlin would rather go by death by 1,000 cuts, or in this case 4 or 5 cuts because he was still gouging them, than get beat one time over the top because they pick up the blitz and Flacco's got somebody running wide open. I'm not saying philosophically I agree with that, but I think that is a window into how Mike, despite how tough he talks, occasionally coaches a little more scared than I think he would like to.
And they started the game in nickel against the best running back in the NFL. That might scratch your head a little bit, too. All right, let's go back out to the phone lines. We got David out in Finleyville. How you doing, David?
Thanks for taking my call, I want to ask your opinion if the Steelers should go after Jalen Waddle down in Miami, since Miami ain't going to make the playoffs.
Hey, thanks for your call. I mean, the Steelers need to go after someone, right? Someone out there. I don't know if Miami would trade Jalen Waddle. I don't know if what you would need to give up to get him. But there got to be guys out there that would be a much better option than what they have right now.
Darius Slayton from the Giants would be leaps and bounds better as a wide receiver too than Van Jefferson. He's on an expiring deal. He's not going to cost you a fortune in terms of draft capital. He is by no means a spectacular football player, but he is a definitive upgrade over what they've got. And so Davante Adams, not realistic. I don't really even know if it would work out, and be a worthwhile investment. I think he's going to the Jets anyway. Amari Cooper's an interesting rental, but that's an intra-division trade. I doubt the Browns would want to do it. I'd keep my eye on Darius Slayton. I think that's somebody the Steelers should be talking to the Giants about.
The one thing about Davante Adams, he's always been a number one guy. He'd come here, and now it would be a battle who's number one. It could be a potential problem.
No, he'd be number one.
I know, but it could be a potential problem.
He would be number one.
I'm saying a potential problem in the locker room. That's what I'm talking about. How about Christian Kirk?
That's what you pay Mike Tomlin a lot of money for.
Yeah.
You pay Mike Tomlin a lot of money to keep personalities in line, do you not? I mean, that's one of the major things that's supposed to be a calling card of his. So I would never not trade for a player because I thought it would cause locker room strife, because that's one of the things the head coach is supposed to be the best in the business at policing.
Hey, before we go to break, real quick, do you think Christian Kirk is an option? You think he'll be available?
Could be. I mean, I think there are going to be a lot of suitors for him, though, if the Jags go 0-5 and are in clear sell mode. They fired Doug Peterson, which they already should have done, by the way. Yeah. I think there's going to be a lot of people with Kirk's overall resume who want him, and I think he's going to be a little bit more expensive, and there's going to be a bit of a bidding war.
All right, we got to take a break. Back in a couple minutes.